She was never an angel, but you were told she was. That her heart was made of warmth and light, that her touch could heal the ache you never dared to name. They fed you this myth before your voice even cracked, that she was salvation, a balm, a final chapter written in soft skin and holy tears. And you, the boy, the seeker, the broken thing crawling through the architecture of manhood, believed it. Nature, to him, did not deal in feelings. It dealt in form, in structure. And in form, the woman is not your echo, not your twin, not your other half, but your evolutionary counterweight. Not soft, not pure, adaptive, strategic, not malicious, but designed to respond, not initiate. And superiority never returns love. It returns manipulation, and she will not need force. Only softness. She won't need to lead, only to influence. She won't need to demand power because you will hand it to her willingly. It's believing it is your devotion when it is your surrender, because you wanted to, because everyone did, because the illusion is easier to swallow than the silence it hides. With worship. But what if she is not the answer to your chaos? What if she is the reflection of it? From the first fairy tale you heard, she was always the prize, the reward, the beautiful stillness at the end of your conquest. You were the chaser, the builder, the fighter bleeding in the arena. For a woman who never even entered it, you thought that was noble, that this suffering was proof of your love. But it was not love. It was bargaining. It was self-erasure in exchange for belonging. Aristotle once wrote that the female is a deformed male, not as cruelty, but as a cold observation of difference. You think she loves you because she mirrors your ache, but maybe she only reflects what you hunger for, not to nurture it, but to control it. We fall in love with the way they reflect the man we wish we were, the man we hope we are. We fall in love with the illusion of being seen, not as we are, but as we dream. And so we kneel not before her, but before our own projections. You mistake resonance for love, alignment for loyalty, chemistry for destiny. But if she is mirroring you, then she is not revealing herself. And if she is not revealing herself, then what are you truly loving? A partner or a performance? That's the wound men carry, but rarely speak, that we don't fall in love with women. But when you kneel like that, she does not feel adored. She feels superior. Because if she can control the image of herself in your eyes, then she can control you. This is how it begins. It's not with war. You thought her softness was purity. But softness is not the absence of strategy. It is the mask of it. You speak with vulnerability. She listens with calculation. Every word you offer, every confession you make, becomes architecture for the world she's building, not with bricks and mortar, but with silence and suggestion. You think she's overwhelmed by feeling? She's not. She's emotionally literate in ways you'll never be. Because while you were learning to conquer the world outside, she was mastering the invisible terrain within. She maps you. Not because she's cruel, because she's surviving. She reads your eyes before your voice. She registers the pause before your doubt. She knows the rhythm of your stories, the tempo of your pride, the hesitations that betray your secrets. You mistake her gentleness for surrender, but her smile is not always a gift. Sometimes it's a ledger. Every detail she collects becomes a key, not to open you, but to hold you. And you're left in the ruins not of her betrayal, but of your illusion. He was built in response to her attention. And now that it's gone, so is he. The illusion that she was the home when really she was the mirror and you didn't love her. Loved who you got to be when she approved of you, to hold your shame, your guilt, your fear of being unloved, and use them to shape your behavior. This is not manipulation in the way you were taught to fear. It is adaptation, subtle, surgical. She does not overpower you. She becomes essential. She learns how to make you need her before you even realize what you've given away. Not your time, not your money, your autonomy, but because they did. To themselves. They told themselves she was soft, spiritual, nurturing, when really she was simply patient, waiting, watching, adapting to your projections until she no longer had to. And when you stop serving the version of her you invented, she withdraws. Not in sadness, but in strategy. She doesn't demand loyalty. She embeds herself in your rhythm. The voice you hear before a decision, the quiet push beneath your ambitions, the feeling that if she's not proud of you, then you've failed. You say, she's intuitive. No, she's observant. She sees the gaps in you and fills them just enough to keep you dependent. It's not enough to heal you, just enough to make you come back. Because she doesn't want to be loved, she wants to be necessary. And this is where most men fall. Not because she lied. You say she changed, but maybe she just stopped pretending. The fantasy ends, not with a scream, but with a quiet severing. And that man, that desperate, bending, reaching version of yourself, was never real. You call it heartbreak. But what you've lost isn't her, it's your reflection. There's a moment, quiet, unfamiliar, when the illusion finally breaks, when her voice no longer echoes in your mind, when her approval no longer defines your steps, when her absence, once a dagger, becomes air. And in that moment, something else appears, something ancient, something male. Not the boy who begged, not the man who performed, but the sovereign you forgot you were. She doesn't leave you empty. She leaves you revealed, because she was never your completion. She was your cover, a beautiful excuse to avoid facing your own fractured foundation. You didn't want a woman. You wanted to outsource your meaning. You wanted her to tell you who you were, to hold the weight of your becoming in her hands. And now those hands are gone, and the mirror is gone. And what remains is silence. Let the myth drown. Stand without applause. Speak without permission. Choose without fear. And if she stays, let it be because she sees the real you, not the version molded by her moods. She may test your frame, pull the strings she once used like instruments, but if you are no longer playing the part, the script cannot continue. She'll either meet you in truth or disappear in resentment. And either way, you win. It's not because you conquered her, but because you remembered you were never meant to kneel. And if she leaves, let her, because the man who has reclaimed himself no longer fears the absence of her gaze. But that silence, that's the birthplace of truth. She was never the villain. She was never the cure. She was the mirror. A mirror polished by myth, by instinct, by a culture too afraid to tell men the truth, that women are not your destiny. They are your test. Not to conquer, not to possess, but to reflect. Because only from there, from the ashes of illusion and the end of performance, can real connection begin. And what they reflect is the part of you you've refused to confront. It tells you what pain could not, that you never needed her to love you. Let another man wake up. You needed her to see you, because you refused to see yourself. And the tragedy, she never did. She saw a role, a rhythm, a reflection of her needs, not yours. She adapted to your wounds not to heal them, but to align them with her strategy. That is not evil. That is not cruelty. That is nature, she learned, as all women do, that survival does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the most adaptable. And in a world shaped by male power, her power had to hide in intimacy. She didn't attack the throne. She whispered to the king. And you, in your loneliness, in your longing, in your unspoken ache to feel worthy, mistook her influence for connection, called it love. But love does not erase the self. Love does not require silence. Love does not demand your spine as an offering. And yet you bent. You performed. You danced to the music she composed, believing it was your own heartbeat, but it was choreography, not chemistry. And now you stand not in grief, but in awakening. So confront it. The hollow, the hunger, the fantasy of being saved. Burn it all. Let the pedestal crack. He creates his own gravity. She may try to return you to the old rhythm. You were meant to stand. So stand now, not against her, but beside the version of yourself you abandoned for affection. Stand in sovereignty. Stand in silence. Stand in full presence. And if this opens something in you, don't keep it quiet. Share it, because truth is a fire. And Erosos was made to burn.